Hey, everybody, welcome to the realm. This is Rich,
It's Gina.
and we have special guest, Jenny. Are you there, Jenny?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I
Jenny's
just all
with
of a
us.
sudden was thinking like, Jenny, you okay?
We lost her.
You okay? You
Thought maybe we lost her
Jenny?
for a minute. I think we lost her for a minute there. Well, welcome, everyone. Appreciate you tuning in. Today, we're going to talk about the Michigan or Lake Michigan Triangle.
So exciting. I've been waiting to hear this. Like ever since you said you were going to do it, I was like, I can't wait to hear this. Okay.
Well, everybody
Right.
knows about the Bermuda Triangle. I'm not sure how many triangles there are out there that, are mysterious, but apparently Lake Michigan has a triangle in it that is very mysterious. There's documented disappearances and paranormal activity, alien activity. Well, not alien, but maybe UFO activity that dates back to the earliest I could find, at least 1679. Was like one of the first ship incidents. There's a lot of water, as you would expect, incidents with ships, boats, stuff like that. There's one documented air incident that's pretty well known that we'll talk about.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this. I've been waiting.
Did you know that they say apparently there's a UFO headquarters or base located under the water in Lake Michigan?
Stop it. I did not hear this.
Oh, I didn't.
That's one
Wait,
of the things they're saying.
Did you
Go
say
ahead,
off
go
the
ahead.
coast of Chicago?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's is located out that way. That portion of Lake Michigan, which is kind of weird because if you look at the map of what the triangle actually is, it's from Manitowoc, Wisconsin to Benton Harbor, and then up to what is it, Ludington to Benton Harbor, Michigan to Manitowoc, Wisconsin. So it's not like a triangle you would normally think of a triangle with having the bottom and then two angles. It's more of a straight,
All right, I'm going to actually.
I'm not, I don't know what that is.
Let me share my screen so that those that are watching on YouTube can see what what we're talking about.
Yes, as you see, it's a triangle, but not a triangle like you think in your head. Oh, a perfect triangle. No. So if anybody knows what kind of triangle that is,
isn't that called an isosceles?
that's that's the only one I know. So I'm sure it's not that one. It's probably whatever. It's probably whatever other one there is.
It's not obtuse because that's the other one, right? Obtuse.
Oh my gosh, no. Okay, so the isosceles triangle is actually that has two sides of equal length. Okay,
so it's not.
I don't.
Well, it could
so
be,
it's
but
not.
It's not.
So is it? I don't know. Oh my God, I'm gonna look so bad to all my science friends. I'm really embarrassed right now.
You know what it kind of looks like? It looks like the planchette for a Ouija board. So maybe it's actually Ouija oriented.
It is an obtuse.
It is.
It is. Oh,
Right.
I came up with the word, but I didn't think that's what it was.
Yeah, it's obtuse.
All right.
All
right. Congratulations, Jenny. You're done for the day. You can leave now. That
and I am woefully embarrassed because I usually thought I was much smarter than this, and I realized that I'm not smarter than a fifth grader.
Well, that's a different show. So
anyway, so here's the triangle. So for people that are listening, he gave you the coordinates there. Oh, goodness.
Where they're saying that this supposed UFO base or whatever off of Chicago doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of being part of that triangle, because you see where Chicago is. I mean, that part of the triangle supposedly is all the way over towards, Michigan. So,
yeah.
I mean, is it really everything? You have to be inside that triangle. If you move a foot outside of that line, you're okay. But if you're inside that line, you're in trouble. Or is it just more that it's a mystery of the whole area of Lake Michigan?
So really, like up here in the northern portion, like the northwestern portion, that's Manitowoc there, right?
Yep.
So really, if we were that way, we'd have to worry about it. We'd have to so we could take the ferry from Milwaukee. How about we do that? Let's do that this summer. We're going to take the ferry from Milwaukee. We'll put our car on it.
Oh.
We'll ride it over because we're going to go straight through that triangle. We can drive back home, stop at the casino on the way home. There's two of them.
Yeah, I know, I've been there.
Look at Jenny's face.
I've been.
I say we do that. I say we do
We
that.
can do that. I have a question.
Go ahead.
How come your pointer looks like Mickey Mouse's hand?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't notice that.
When you were
weird.
pointing on your picture, it looked like Mickey Mouse's glove. Okay, well that's okay. Well, anyway, that's one of the things that they're saying. UFO base. There's always you hear reports of lights over Lake Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
There's reports out there. I looked for a couple. I hear a lot of stories about it. I don't know if there's any people out there listening, if they've come across it, because you do hear a lot of people with stories of they saw lights here and there.
Mm-hmm. My friend Jamie is one of them.
Yes, you have a friend that is one of them. And I did see that video,
Milwaukee.
and that video is compelling to me.
Right.
I can't explain it because the first thing you think of is it's got to be a plane. It's got to be something you can explain. That's the first place your mind goes to.
Right.
But when I can't imagine actually seeing it myself and standing there wondering what I'm looking at, but to see the video that you showed us, that was.
And that wasn't the first time that she recorded something over in that area. She lives in Oak Creek.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there was no sound. It didn't make any noise.
No, it was no sound. It didn't make any
light.
noise at all. Just the
weird.
giant glowing ball. It was
very weird.
She was in Cudahy, South Milwaukee, right there on the border there at the Walmart.
Right. Let me see if I can find my notes here of what I saw. In March of 1994, about 100 people reported seeing 5 to 6 objects, cylindrical in shape or looking like circles, with blue, red, and green lights lighting up the sky across western Michigan. So western Michigan would be over the Lake Michigan area.
Right, where most of the triangle, it looks like most of the triangle falls on the Michigan side.
Yeah, if you looked at that, yes. The majority of it is Michigan side. It actually got to the point where people were calling 911 and reporting this to the police and saying, hey, we're seeing these lights in the sky. And there's actually reports of officers taking pictures, watching it, and they actually called the weather service in Michigan.
Holy crap!
Asked them if there was anything going on, because they have radar. So they called them up and said, "Hey, can you check this out and see if you see anything on your radar screen?" And they were able to verify and confirm that there was something moving at about 100 miles an hour over the lake. And it was collaborative. The guy was looking at the radar at the weather service while the cop was on the phone, police officer was on the phone, and describing the exact same thing he was seeing on the radar. So they were looking at the same object, and it was going, like I said, about 100 miles an hour across the sky, and then it stopped, and then it went straight up and stopped a little bit, and then went further up. It's just like
that. Those are the accounts that how do you not question that? How do you explain away something that can just stop from traveling fast, stop, and then go in an upward or downward motion really fast? It doesn't.
I don't know of any planes that are going to do that. I mean, drones or anything like that aren't going to be up that high that I'm aware of. Maybe military stuff, but if
this is back in 1994, right?
Yeah, 1994. And I'm sure there's more stories of that go even further back, because like you said, somebody, everybody has heard somebody say, "Oh, did you see the lights?" I see it on social media a lot of people talking about lights over Lake Michigan.
We just need to come camp out at your house. You're literally right on the lake. You're
let's
what?
Do that. Let's walk down to the lake and see if we can see any of that.
Because isn't there the bench at the top of the hill along that? But is that Lake House Drive, or what is that road called?
There's a couple of benches, but you could sit right out by the lighthouse. You could go down. There's a beach area.
Golf course there.
Well, I right at the end of your street. Then there's the lake.
There was,
and then there was a bench there. Is that gone?
Yeah. With COVID, the person who owns that bench brought it home.
Oh, okay.
No longer there.
Fucking COVID took the bench away.
I know. Takes everything.
Took a lot away. Sorry, I'm going to be eating my dinner while you're telling the story.
That's fine. You're good. So you can come over here. We can sit out here in the front of our yard or whatever. We sit outside, have a fire all the time.
Set up and just sit and see if we see anything.
I see many, many planes fly
set
over
up
my
a
house.
static camera.
So, you know,
Yeah.
I have
That
yet
would
to
be
see
good if there's a
something I
lot
don't
of
know.
planes going, because then we can, if we
Mhm.
do see something, then we can have footage to compare the two of what it looks like in the sky.
I've never seemed to be the guy that gets to see that stuff.
Me neither. I mean, a
For
couple
some
times
reason.
I've seen something in the sky. I'm not going to lie, but lately I have not been one of the lucky ones. Just recently, one of my daughter's good friends, she moved to like Naperville, Lisle, Illinois area,
Mhm.
and she had just videoed something she put on Facebook. Strange lights, almost the exact same lights that Jamie had, sparkling in the sky, and it was just like hovering there for the longest period of time, and then it just zips off. It's unbelievable.
It's amazing.
No noise.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You to
Yeah,
hear
that
no
was
noise, something
strange.
moving like that, you would think you would hear it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, especially if it's some sort of strange aircraft or something, it's got to make sound. It's got to make noise.
Mhm.
All right. Well, let's move on a little bit here. Let me tell you guys a couple little stories here, a couple of the more popular ones that are out there, and get your thoughts on them. Like I was saying before, one of the first documented cases was in 1679.
Holy
It was
shit.
a wooden vessel, large sailing wooden vessel called the Lake Griffin.
Mhm.
It set sail on its maiden voyage in 1679 to find a northwest passage to China and Japan. So somehow they were trying to figure out another passage to the north of, probably go up through the lakes and then go up
Mhm.
over, through Canada or whatever, trying to find a different way to the northwest. Said everything went good until the ship reached the Michigan Triangle, never to come back.
Do you know
Says-
where it originated?
Does not say where it originated.
Hmm.
Doesn't say where it originated at.
And you have to imagine back then, it probably just seemed like so far away to go up Lake Michigan. I mean, it is far away, but now
Well,
we're like
yeah.
more into the future, we can see maps and things like that. And
And the next part of this story here is something that's going to be common. Is the worst, the scariest part of the whole thing was there was no wreckage of the ship or any traces of the crew found.
just disappeared.
Just gone to this day. They have it's never been found.
Have they had teams like actively looking for it? Like now, do they have
on this
like,
one here? I'm
Tiger
not
Hunter?
sure. On this one
Okay.
here, I'm not sure. But I know that there are people that are out there looking for shipwrecks and looking for different things and documenting. And in
Yeah.
several cases, they've been looking for something else and come across one that they didn't realize was there, which is the case in the next one I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
Which wasn't found right away, but there was the disappearance of the Thomas Hume.
That
So
one sounds familiar.
the disappearance of the Thomas Hume in 1891 was a 3-masted schooner going from Chicago to Muskegon. They offered a $300 reward to find the wreckage of the schooner, but nobody could find it.
Huh.
However, in 2006, the wreckage was discovered by a diver in the southern portion of Lake Michigan. He was looking for something else, and they found it. So in 2006, they finally found the wreckage of one from 1891. And let me tell you the story on the Thomas Hume. I have my notes here, like any good person would do.
Investigative reporter.
Yeah, exactly. It was a sister ship. Let me find out where's all of my other.
So while you're looking for that, so it left Chicago to go to
Yes, Thomas Hume.
north, and they found it in the southern portion. So they basically found it near where it had left.
Yep.
If they got it in the southern portion.
Yep, they were hauling lumber,
Okay.
and it was a sister ship to the Rouse Simmons. Does that one sound familiar to you at all?
Mhm.
I'm going to get to that one. They set off a port, and all of a sudden the skies got dark, got windy, stuff. Storms coming on. They
Right.
said, storm's coming. We don't know if we should go. The Rouse Simmons crew decided to turn back to Chicago to wait for calmer waters.
Okay.
And the Thomas Hume said, "Nah, we're not turning around. We're going to keep on going. We're going to Muskegon. We're going to keep on heading for Michigan." So Thomas Hume set sail. They're in the middle of the lake. They're presumably in that triangle because that's where they have to be in order to sink or
Oh, yeah.
disappear,
Yeah.
is in the triangle, not
Right.
outside of it. So they had a
Yeah.
ways to go. So if you're looking at the picture, guys, remember, you got to be in the triangle. So the people, everybody's in Muskegon waiting for the ship, never comes. No word from the sailors. There were 7 sailors on board. Hackey and Hume, which is the name of the company, the lumber company that owned the ship, also owns the Rouse Simmons. They sent out a search vessel looking for the ship. Nothing was ever found. Like I said earlier, $300.
Not even like any floats or pieces of wood.
Not a single piece
clothes,
of
a body, nothing.
nothing. Not a single piece of anything found, floating, wreckage, people, nothing. And the reward was never claimed. Back then, $300. That's quite a good reward back,
Right now,
1891. But as you know now, as I said, 2006, the ship was finally found. So disappeared back then mysteriously. Well, it did sink, and they did find it. So how much of is it really that mysterious, or is it just another shipwreck?
Right.
You know,
And then when they found the ship, did they do any kind of like forensic type study of it to see like, did it?
not on that one. No.
Okay.
Not on that one. 21 years later, November 22nd, 1912, the Rouse Simmons, which I was just talking about, as a sister ship to the Thomas Hume. Actually, here's a little tidbit. The Rouse Simmons was named after Rouse Simmons in Kenosha. Remember Simmons mattress?
Oh, yeah.
His brother, and also the Simmons Library.
Mm-hmm.
That's his brother. That's this guy here was named after the ship, or this ship was named after him.
Oh yeah, and we just investigated that.
Yes, exactly. Let me see. I can tell you exactly. The Rouse Simmons was built in Milwaukee in 1868 and named after Kenosha businessman Rouse Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I forget what his brother's name was.
Now the name sounds familiar to me.
Simmons,
It didn't strike a chord whenever you first said it.
Yep. And when I first was reading it too, and I went, man, why does that name sound familiar to me? And actually, it sounded more familiar to me because I was listening to another podcast that I listened to, and they were talking about it because the ship was also known as the Christmas tree ship.
So
does that sound familiar to you at all?
The Christmas tree house sounds familiar to me because that's in downtown Racine.
Correct.
Or is it just a Christmas house? I don't know.
No, I think it's called.
Is it any relation to that? Like,
no.
Okay.
No. What it was is Captain Herman Schumann. He helped bring Christmas trees from Muskegon to Chicago, and he would sell them every Christmas. They would do that. He'd even give them away to the poor families that didn't have a Christmas tree. That's something that they did. So it later became known as the Christmas tree ship, and they always called him Captain Santa.
That's cute.
Well, one time in 1912, November 22nd, ship never arrives. Comes back, never arrives. Again, no wreckage. So now this sister ship is gone. The ship was spotted. Actually, where the wreckage is kind of odd. It's right now. It was found. Actually, it's up towards Manitowoc. So I'm not sure why. Two Rivers, basically.
That it got that far.
Why it's way up there. But if you go to the Wikipedia for Rouse Simmons, it shows you where it's actually at, and it's way up at the top part of that triangle we were talking about. Yeah. I mean, it's like right at the tip of where that part of that triangle would be in Wisconsin before it goes down the Benton Harbor and across to Ludington. So yeah, he was known as Captain Santa, and he would give away trees, so he was doing it. They were trying to do good deeds. They were trying to do the right thing, but that ship just had the same fate. Why is it that, again, the Michigan Triangle?
And go ahead.
It's not just ships. I know that when I was looking into this a little bit, there are airplanes that have flown over. There was an airplane, Northwest Orient Airline, flight 2505 in 1950. It was actually going from New York to Minneapolis, and there was some extreme weather, and it just disappeared. And they never did find the plane. They found fragments of bodies and just like little pieces of wreckage, but never found the plane. And
58 people on board, 55 passengers, 3 crew.
Yeah. What year was this again?
1950.
June 23rd, 1950. Huh. Story goes, to add to that, is they're flying, like Jenny said, they're going from New York to go into Seattle, Washington, with a stopover in Minnesota. They get over the Michigan Triangle, and they start to experience what they're speculating was a strong electrical storm.
Okay.
So the pilots radio in and say, hey, they're flying at like 3,500 feet. They want to go down to 2,500 feet. They request hey, we want to drop down to 2,500 feet. They don't say why, but the request was denied. They were like, no.
Are you 2,500 or 25,000?
No, 2,500.
Really? That's really low.
The aircraft was 3,500 feet over Lake Michigan, about 18 miles northwest of Benton Harbor, which, as we all know, is part of that triangle.
Right.
But yeah, they asked radio control. They say, hey, we want to descend to 2,500 feet. And flight controllers told them, no, you can't. The request was denied, but they were soon lost after that off of radar, everything. They just vanished.
It just disappeared.
Just vanished. And the theory is, they were experiencing a strong electrical storm. That's where the problem started, is, just like hundreds of other things, there's another factor involved as to what caused the original problem.
Was it an electrical storm or was it a UFO?
Right. And like Jenny said, that's never been found. I mean, they have widespread searches using sonar dragging the bottom of the lake. Nothing.
Oh, really? So they really
they cannot find any substantial wreckage of that plane. They found light debris, some upholstery, some human body fragments. So they know the plane crashed.
Right.
But where did it go? It's every time they think they know where it is, it's not there.
Did you ever see the show Manifest?
Yes.
On Netflix. So aside from how the plot started to evolve, just the whole concept that this plane is involved in an electrical storm and then they're thought to be dead, and then 5 years later,
right,
I think it is, they show back up and they're all the same age, but everybody else is aged. And I loved the concept of that show, I must say. I really loved it.
That's one of the working theories of the Michigan Triangle. People think it's a portal. Is it a time dimension, time travel thing where things are going in, they're disappear? We think they disappear.
Well, we talked about ships, we talked about a plane, but we lost a person too, didn't we? Captain George R. Donner. Did you hear that? Oh
God. Yeah, you brought that one up. That was one of my, oh my God.
That one.
Yeah, that's another one.
Oh my gosh. It's not just the other things.
Well, that was a weird one. Let me see if I can find my stuff on that one, because that was a weird one too. And that was.
He was the captain of the ship.
Yep.
And he locked himself into his room and told the people, the people on the ship to wake him up or go and get him. And when they went to go get him, he was still considered locked inside that room, which was locked from the inside. And they wound up breaking down the door, and he's gone.
Oh my God. How does that even, did he have a manhole in his room where he could no window?
They said that said that any of the reports that were found was either there was a small porthole, but not big enough for probably the size of your head only. Nothing substantial. There was no doors and no windows big enough that somebody could actually leave that cabin.
And what year was this?
Doing it. What's that?
What year was this?
1937. Huh. It was on its way to Port Washington, Wisconsin.
This is just so amazing to me. And honestly, people think, oh, a lake, whatever. This lake can get I've been down there when the storms are coming in, or the high waves, or when they do the beach advisories. I love going down there because I'd go down with my kids and let the waves splash up, on the rocks to see if they could run away from it fast enough. I think a lot of people do that, but those waves, like that lake can look really angry. Like really,
I say that all
scary.
the time when we pull out of our street and it's one of those days and I'm like, oh, Lake Michigan is angry today.
Yeah,
I've heard that it's actually the most dangerous Great Lake.
Really?
Because of the shorelines. Yeah. Because the shorelines are the way they are. You got Michigan on this side and Wisconsin on this side. So the way the currents go back and forth creates a big undercurrent, it's not like it's a lot of this where the water has different things that are going to like buffer it or act as like, keep it from
just basically like a
baffle, instead of that, you got the shorelines are so straight, that's, it is it's like the most dangerous, Great Lakes.
It's called the most dangerous Great Lake.
Yep.
I did not know that. I learned something so new today. So
please tell me you're going to talk about the underwater thing.
We already did. Oh, you mean the Stonehenge?
Yes.
Oh,
that's my favorite story.
Oh my God. Then why don't you tell it?
Okay. So
why don't you tell it, smarty pants?
I'm not a smarty pants. So basically there's what they call an underwater American Stonehenge. And so there's these stones underwater. And they're in very strange, they're in like a line, and then there's like an area where the stones are like in a perfect circle or almost a perfect circle. And then one of the boulders, because they call them boulders, they're pretty big actually. They did some investigating as to different color shades and indentations on the boulder. And it's actually an image of a mastodon. Which was extinct like over 10,000 years ago. So that was really cool. And they talked about it. And I was really thinking, wow, that's really strange and interesting. But then they also talked about how, 5,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, this particular area wasn't necessarily underwater.
Right. I was just going to say that.
So I want to understand. So this boulder, this rock was found in Lake Michigan.
Yeah. Yep.
By like a diver.
I want to say I heard it was like 40 feet down somewhere, but they're not going to tell you where. It's an undisclosed location. They're not telling you where it's at.
So it's still under
there's
there.
Two
it
things.
Can't be moved, right?
Right. Well, yeah, it's like it's not just one boulder. It's a series of boulders set up in like a pattern like Stonehenge would be.
Oh my God.
And on one
carving of a mastodon.
On one of them, yes, is that what they found. So that's why they feel like there was probably people involved. It probably wasn't natural formation. It was probably man-made because of that. And like 10,000 years ago, that's what they're thinking around that time. Because that's when the mastodon was extinct.
It was carved 10,000 years ago.
Well, because the mastodon was extinct for at least 10,000 years.
Yeah.
So you got to think that
the thought of that though, because when did humans surface on the earth? If you think about the mastodon and the humans, you would think that they would be
1 BC.
Not anywhere near each other, but
1 BC, I think was the date.
Really?
Don't quote me on that because I really don't know.
That is incredible. I had never heard that story before. And do they have pictures of this at all?
I haven't seen pictures. There's two things here.
I have a picture. I could share my screen.
Yeah. What you got for a picture? I'm curious what they're showing you.
Figure out how to share my screen. Share screen. Here it is. Most disabled participant. Why'd you disable?
Oh, I didn't. Let me see if I can enable you.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
Worst thing to do is to enable her.
See if that works.
Oh, I think it does. All right.
I shut you down before you can even get started.
But I'm going to try to share my screen here and see if you guys can see my screen. You'll have to let me know if you do.
Oh, yeah, we can see that. That's very cool.
Yeah, so this is just the picture of the mastodon on the boulder.
They had red ink back then?
Apparently so. It showed up with a red marker, and so I got this.
I'm calling bullshit. I'm calling bullshit right now. I'm
Or
just
do you
saying
think
right
it's one
now.
of those things like, is it really a carving? Were they able to establish that it's really a carving? Or did they just say, oh, hey, it looks like one?
I could
They,
draw 10 different things there.
they actually had, and I don't have the article in front of me, but there was actually someone who was able to do a dive and take
Okay.
multiple photographs of these boulders under the water. And it was a special, because it's real murky water, so you can't get a clear image. And so they used a special technique where they took tons of pictures from all different angles and then compiled it all back together and then found these shaded areas that were more distinct than any other and then did the outline. So this is what they kind of came up with, that it was in the shape of a mastodon.
Why is Tim Robbins standing there?
It does look like Tim Robbins.
What the hell's he doing there?
So for those of you that are just listening, so the boulder, like Jenny said, it is very big. And the red that Rich was talking about, if you're not watching us on YouTube, was where, they took obviously to edit the photo to show in the outline what they're looking or showing you as to be what the carving is of the mastodon. It's pretty impressive. It says the marking is 3.5 to 4 feet high and about 5 feet long. And it's curious to me that they won't disclose the location.
That means two things to me. Either it's top secret government activity or it's doesn't exist and they don't want you to know about it.
That's true. Or they don't want tourists coming to the town, or it's in the Michigan Triangle.
Come on. Everybody's about money. Everybody wants tourists because that's where they're going to get everybody's money.
I don't know. I just read a story today about like these people in Turkey, because like the place that their area or their town or whatever has some supernatural stuff to it, and so
road trip.
So they're getting tired of the tourist, and so because a bunch of ghost hunters and paranormal investigators and stuff are coming there, and they're like, oh, completely over it.
Those people
I don't know
are
the
rude.
exact town.
Yeah, those ghost hunter people are rude. So,
Thanks
wait a
for
minute.
sharing that, Jenny.
I'm one of those. Yeah, that's like I said, I don't know why they won't disclose it. I guess you could come up with a dozen reasons why. They're not saying why they won't disclose it, but I mean, the one thing you got to remember, we're talking about Lake Michigan. So the waters aren't that deep. We're not talking like the Indian Ocean or something like that, where you're talking thousands, depths of, ungodly amounts. I mean,
Right.
The lake is relatively shallow compared to the ocean. So even when you're talking about like earlier with the spaceships or whatever in the water, one of the things people always want to say is, well, you know what, if you're in the water, you have to be able to not have that crushed like a tin can. I mean, there's pressure, so depending on what that depth is, there's always the pressures involved. So you have a spaceship that can fly to outer space, yet they can still go underwater.
So submerge like a submarine.
Yeah, there's like a couple different variants of what type of things it can do. But I mean, if we're talking aliens or extraterrestrial, I mean, who knows what type of.
Well, do you remember like some reports where some people that give reports of the UFOs that they've seen and they're like cigar shaped?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think about it, maybe shaped like a submarine.
Yeah,
so maybe there's that technology where they can go from one extreme to the next. What else?
Definitely possible, I suppose. I don't know, after reading most of these stories here, I mean, how much of it's bad luck?
Right.
More than anything else, I think bad luck. And when you're talking about the time frames of a lot of these things happening, like a lot of the shipwreck stuff, it was in the earlier days of when you had a lot of wooden ships. You had, they didn't know maybe more about navigation or whatever the case may be. So you got the storms, you got, whatever the case may be.
Right.
That back then, like we don't have now, because right now you're not hearing too many stories of things disappearing or shipwrecks.
Either we're better at hiding it now, and there's not enough people to like spread the word of the phenomenon because it's being hidden so quickly.
The only thing I can say is is the Malaysian airline MH370 is still missing.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
nobody can seem to find that plane.
Right.
So anything's possible, I guess.
Right. And we talked about that time period when we talked about spontaneous human combustion, back in the 1800s, we call it like the days of the snake oil.
Yeah.
I mean, like
blame
up
something
into the
else.
1900s, they didn't have the NTSB back then. So it's not like, the National Transportation Safety Board was there, or maritime, rescue, the same as what it is today. So,
right.
I mean, it's probably easy for folklores to be born out.
A lot of those ones,
yeah,
like the Christmas tree ship or the Hume, those, they've been found. So, I mean, they didn't disappear. They just were unlucky
or
to
did
have.
They and got redeposited by aliens. Dun dun dun.
I don't know.
I'm just being the devil's advocate today.
I mean, you can look at numerous stories about this, and you're gonna find a bunch that we didn't discuss or whatever. I looked at a bunch of them, and I mean, you got the Rosabelle, which was a steamer, and it was they're calling it a single ship collision because the ship was found overturned. It didn't sink; it was found overturned with damage on it, like it had a collision, but there was no other ship.
But there was nothing that had.
And no one ever claimed, we hit another ship, or
there was no rocks, no rock formations or anything like that.
Maybe they hit the rock formation.
Yeah.
Stonehenge?
Maybe a spaceship was trying to come out of the water, and
they T-boned.
I don't know.
That was only 40 feet away.
And that was 1921. So again, I mean, Titanic, that was 1912 as well as some of these earlier times. So, I mean, you had a lot of disasters that were probably more publicized. I bet you if you look up, I'm just going to play devil's advocate as I like to do, because I'm a skeptic. Right. I bet you if you look up Lake Superior and you look up Lake Ontario and you look up all these other, you name it. If you look up a lake, I guarantee you're going to have tragedies. You're going to have strange things that have happened. Not that it has anything to do. Not that it has anything to do with a special triangle. I don't know when or where that originated or who gave it that name. I didn't see anything that said that this is a name given by so-and-so in the year of whatever. So
yeah, apparently if you Google, I just Googled like mysterious shipwrecks on Lake Superior. And of course there's like actually a YouTube video about mysterious shipwrecks on the Great Lakes themselves. So, might be worth, looks like it's a 8-minute and 53-second video, but there's like ghost ships on Lake Superiors. The MV Sophia F. Janus was built, launched, and christened in 1977. It was among the first of 13,000 footers to sail the inland seas. And apparently, I don't know, it was like they called it the ghost ship of Lake Superior. I'm not sure why. Maybe we should do another episode on some more shipwrecks. I like that.
We could probably do several episodes just strictly on shipwrecks of the Great Lakes, because like I said, the Edmund Fitzgerald is a very famous one.
Oh yeah, we should dive into that for another episode,
but just in that case as well, it would turn out more than likely it was a storm that took the ship down. There was some different circumstances surrounding it, and that's what happens. But I think everybody wants to, your mind goes to a certain place when you hear of things like that, just like with the MH370 or any of these other ones. People want to make it into be something else, or you all of a sudden get the conspiracy theorists jumping in, and it doesn't help when you have these other things coming up in the news about, and I say this with the most respect of the victims of any of these plane crashes, where you hear later that they're thinking it was the pilot's fault,
right.
I mean, so you don't know,
right.
And in situations like that, in the Malaysian one, you're never going to know. Right. All it's going to be is theory. All it's going to be is people guessing. And
50, 60, 70, 100 years from now, people will be talking about that flight, and that'll be
another thing. It'll be the Indian Ocean Triangle.
I want to know
I don't
what podcasts will be like. Will they even be a thing in 100 years? I don't know.
It'll just be a picture and it'll do all its own stuff. It'll talk. It won't be as
It'll
good
be
as
like
we are.
transmitters. Have you
Yeah.
ever watched Black Mirror?
Nope. Don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. You gotta
Sounds
watch
scary.
Black Mirror on Netflix. It's like they're like mini stories about futuristic things, and one of them is like where you can record things that you see, so you can like go back and revisit like what you went through during the day. I don't know. It's very cool.
I saw a movie about mini stories that was scary. Had some guy that looked like he had a bag on his head and he was like trick or treating. What's the name of that one? What's the name of that?
Was that the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown?
No, that's a cartoon.
I got a rock.
The cartoons don't scare me too much. SpongeBob scares me, but that's a different story.
Love SpongeBob. Gary.
Yeah, Mr. Krabs, he's my favorite. So,
Well, I loved it. This is great. We're gonna dive into another episode of this very soon.
well,
So,
like I said, I think it seems to be a common thread with a lot of the things that we're discussing, which is good because I think a lot of things we're discussing are in that type of category of believable, not believable. Is it just a theory? Is it, we haven't gotten in anything yet where we're talking personal experiences of something that actually happened that we have firsthand accounts on. We're going off of these other things, and it's people's stories and everybody's opinion.
Right.
And
we're not trying to kill the old mysteries, but we're
absolutely not.
Apply some modern day, like, I guess, thought process and modern day technology and bring that to the story so that we can say like, likely it was probably just, bad weather, but in the case of that captain who went into his,
that's definitely strange.
Disappeared. That's strange. The one that wrecked and had damage on the outside of its ship, but there was nothing that could tie that damage to. That's definitely strange.
Right. I mean, did the captain sneak out of his cabin? No one saw him. Locked the door
How did he
behind him and jumped over? Who knows? Of course, everybody on board. No, couldn't have happened. Couldn't have happened. And we're never gonna know. But that's fine. Look, we're here to talk about stuff, have a good time, hash it out, and give our opinions. And some people aren't going to like what we come up with. Other people are going to take it for what it is, which is just a couple people discussing whatever we're talking about. So it is what it is.
I just have to ask: Are you willing? Are you willing to take the ferry over Lake Michigan? Are you guys willing to do that?
Yep.
I'll go
straight through the triangle.
Sure.
Straight through.
Good. Let's do it.
I don't care.
I'm
there's a casino on the other side.
You know why? Because there are no sharks. I'm okay with this because there are no sharks that I know. It's not saltwater, so there's no sharks.
I heard they found an alligator. Though.
I was just gonna say there'd be a big old alligator that'll come get us.
Why would
I think I heard a story. I think I heard a story that they found an alligator in Lake Michigan.
I might be out. Fuck it. I can't do. I get
out. Well, the triangle is fine, but an alligator absolutely.
Well, wait. You're fine as long as the ferry doesn't sink.
That's what I'm preparing for. If there's any kind of disaster, I need to know what I'm up against in the water. So I'm going to need to bring survival things. I'm going to bring my own flotation device.
Are they like duckies? Do they have like
I
duckies
might
you put on your arms and floaties?
I'm still trying to figure out which horror flick it is with that burlap sack.
Is it like Trick or Treat or something, or Trick?
I don't know, but I'm going to be thinking about
what's it? His name's doesn't he shows up in every story and he's watching them and he's got a.
I don't know what that is. If Kez was on this one, Kez would know for sure.
I have a little birdie in my ear telling me, yeah, it's Trick or Treat. So Trick or Treat.
Oh, I know
that's the only one. I don't even know how we got on that about Black Mirror stories. I don't know, but
the Black Mirror stories.
See, I have this bad habit. I like to watch the disaster shows, like on History Channel.
Yeah,
like
me too.
Shipwrecks. The plane crashes. I do all that stuff, and people, what are you watching that for? Because I want to be prepared when it happens. I know what's going on. If I'm on a plane and it starts doing something, I need to know.
Yeah. That is the exact reason we watch The Walking Dead, because we are going to be so fucking prepared for zombies and all
every day when I leave work.
Like literally, we are ready. We are on our second time through watching The Walking Dead as we speak. We're re-binging it, and we are going to be ready. I'm going to
Supernatural. You watch Supernatural?
No, I haven't watched that. Honestly, everybody asks me that. You haven't watched Supernatural? No, I haven't
You
watched
should.
that.
I
I'll
love
try
it.
I'll
Shout
try
out to Supernatural.
That's Supernatural.
I know how to
Did you-
take care of vampires. I know how to take care of werewolves, leviathans.
Okay.
What else is there? Witches, um,
There's good witches.
demons.
So okay, so you got some paranormal stuff that you can take care of.
Mhm.
Like we are ready for the zombies. Jenny, what are you ready for?
I'm booking the trip on the raft over the lake.
Oh, there we go.
She's ready for bed. She's ready to go to sleep. That's what she's ready.
Not yet. It is only 8.
It's only what?
8.
Well,
Past my bedtime.
this was great. Thanks for all your research.
Well, I appreciate everything you guys do. Thanks to everybody that's listening. Make sure you listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts. Make sure you give us a like or rate us.
Yeah.
Visit our Facebook page, drop us an email. Anything like
Share.
that was appreciated.
Yeah, sharing this with your friends.
Yep.
And we'd love to have listener ideas on shows, show ideas. If there's places in the nearby area that we can go investigate and talk about, let us know. If there's, take a look into, we'll dive into pretty much any kind of folklore. I love to do research, so we'll get it looked into, but we would love to have you share your story on the show, no matter what it is. So if you have any stories about the Michigan Triangle, make sure you head on over to our Facebook page, look where this is posted, and share some of your stories there, and maybe we can have you on for an interview. So
sounds good. With
that, thanks, guys. Until next time, make sure you join us every Wednesday for Weird Weekly News, and again on Mondays for our single topic. And with that, good night, everybody.
Peace out.
Ciao.
Ciao.
We still got to find something.